Well, good evening, uh, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you so much for joining me this evening, this Saturday night, 25th of February, 2022. Those joining me on YouTube and Facebook as well, and for Instagram. Just gonna be like a shop window. We spin from there and then spin over there. Thank you so much. So, how are you guys today? And wanna take this opportunity just to say it's a very cold. Um, Today has been very cold in the UK. I don't know, the weather is, maybe they said it's some sort of um, serious bombs, or when I say bombs, I don't mean bombs. I mean cold bombs or something like that, which is flicking over there or something like that. Um, but it's what, 5 degrees Celsius it was today. Um, so that's the craziness of it. In my walk and talk in the morning this morning, I was out there and I was really enjoying the walk. You know, I saw a woodpecker. I don't know if anybody like woodpeckers, um, and some other birds. They say they call twitching. Twitching is what you call when you look at different birds. We call it twitching as well, and that is something which is very interesting. Now, last week we touched on the topic of who speak up for Jamaicans in the diaspora, and it was talking about voices, and also what came out of it was the you know how you can get lower airfares to the Caribbean, to Jamaica, getting away from these exorbitant prices which come from all different corners, and how we can make it better, or should we just accept it? I know some people in my discourse since last week was saying, hey, if you can't afford it, stay in your yard, i.e. stay in England or stay in USA. Well, it's more England, because from the USA I believe that people can actually travel a bit much more easier. I think they can take taxis, like Lada taxi, and then I use it as an example, and go to Jamaica easily. But from the UK, the travel is about 8 hours, 8, 9 hours, 10 hours sometimes, and we're looking at the prices of £1,000. But yet at the same time, you got different companies which work out much more effective. And I did some research and spoke to hi guys over Instagram there. Instagram is just gonna be temporary. Um, it's over on YouTube, so I'm not gonna. The Instagram bit is gonna go off very shortly, but I just use it to start the show. But it's over on YouTube, Sylbourne TV, if you want to catch it, and on also Instagram as well. Going to be over there, YouTube. Well, actually, more Facebook actually, and YouTube. Light speaker, blessing and salutations. So yeah, so last week I was discussing this bit about the exorbitant airfares, and sort of delve into a bit more, because one of the things I said is that not to just keep having shows and just having shows for show's sake. What are you drinking actually? I just forget totally. Actually, um, what are you drinking today? But actually, I'm gonna have some wine. Um, that's a little dash. Not gonna have too much. Ready on here? Finger, thumbs up. Until you're ready, just give me a thumbs up, yeah? Yeah. Um, so just gonna have some wine. Yeah. Try not to have too much. And have some sparkling water. Always good to have water. I met some Jamaican ladies in the park this morning, in Beckenham Place Park, They say they're going to join me tonight, if anything like that. So yeah, so I'm drinking some wine. Light speaker, what do you have it? Got to have something. Got so many drinks here. Got water. This one. Yep. Hey, Anil, how you doing?
I am good, Sylbourne. How are you doing?
I'm good. Are you? How's your day, man? How's the great USA?
It's good. Actually, I was gonna test out this new mic, but it took me a while, so I can't test it out because I got a new Yeti.
Oh, that's what a new thing in there.
No, I had to default because for whatever reason I wasn't getting the output, so I got to troubleshoot it to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I went back to the Jabba that I have.
Well, somebody just sent me a while ago, so they're having pineapple and coconut. Light speaker and coconut. What are you drinking today?
I just have a Sauvignon Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc white wine.
Really? Okay. I'm having Pinot Noir.
That's good.
Red.
Yeah, so.
And some water.
Yeah. And then I want to plug a good friend of mine actually came out with her first single yesterday.
Yes.
Super. Hang on, I'm gonna get.
There's no copyright infringement, not yet.
No, there's no copyright.
Yeah.
As long as they know we don't own the music.
Yes.
All copyright. But I think it's worth noting. Hang on, if I could get it right now. It's streaming on our platform, but Bulby York. I don't know if you have heard of that producer.
Bulby York? No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's a producer out of Jamaica. He's been around for a while. I believe some of the bigger hits with Buju, Bounty back in the day, he has done. So he just came out with a new album called Time and Color, and the first song on it called "Hear O Lord" is by Bulby York and Stacy Miranda. So Stacy Miranda, out of Florida, Jamaican, and this is our first single. So
okay. So what we should do? Well, you gonna play it or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna play a little bit of it.
Okay.
But the interesting thing, right? She's not a singer, and she went into the studio because she has some friends in the music business, and she just went back in the booth and just started singing, and people were like,
Yes.
whoa, what are we hearing here? And that led to different producers in Jamaica that says, yeah, we'll work with you. And in this track, you'll hear Dean Fraser on the horn.
Okay.
It's a really good track. It's called it's Time and Color by Bulby York is the name of the album that just came out yesterday.
Interesting to mention Dean Fraser. He's still playing, isn't he?
Dean Fraser is one of the iconic with the sax. That dude is really good.
From I was a boy, I hear about Dean Fraser, the chubby guy, isn't it?
Yeah, he's still around. Dean Fraser is still around to this day.
Yeah. No, that's very interesting. Hi, Michelle. How are you, guys? How are you today? Light speaker. Those on Instagram, come over onto YouTube as well. Anil, I was just mentioning earlier that last week when we were speaking about the voices who speak up for Jamaicans in the diaspora, and we latched onto the exorbitant airfares and latched onto overseas voting, and then I just wanted to take it one notch up by when you talk about lobbying government, you want to get change. How can people do that just to sort of keep the momentum? Because I just recognize that, as we said, we don't want to just keep having shows for show's sake. and just having different topics, but nothing follow through, because I believe a lot of things is education as well, educating the people. Not saying that one is more educated than them, but when one feel like you're in a quandary, what are different options that people can do to to effect change, the change that they want to see.
No, I think you're right in terms of, you know, sometimes one highlights some of the things that are going on in Jamaica, but as you said, you know, get into solution or suggestion, because you know you and I sit here and we have these conversations or these discussions, and the question becomes, how do you affect or impact change on the ground?
Mm,
And I'm a big proponent of storytelling, and I think
mm,
if you could tell a story in a very effective manner and get, you know, few people to listen and then sort of create that domino effect, I do believe you could see change. And to your point around education is, you know, educating the masses to understand that their voice matter. And if
mm,
you stay silent, then your voice is silent, right? And then you and I chatted a little bit to say, you know, if you look, it's not just in Jamaica, it's across the world. The,
yes,
the people voice is through the electoral process, right?
yes,
That's how you put your voice out there, or different avenue or avenues such as you know, lobbying the government. But
yes,
in order for you to lobby the government, you have to understand the policies that the government are putting out there and have an opinion. But I think Jamaica is in a, you know, is in a pretty unique place and spot. And
mm,
you and I have not talked about this, but I believe Jamaica has more church per square mile than any other place in the world. I believe, I could be totally wrong, but I remember that stat, right? If that's the case, the church or the churches
mm,
play a huge role
mm,
in educated people. And I don't know what the church attendance rates in Jamaica is, but I think it's pretty high. But think of the impact, you know, the pastors can have in helping elevate the voice of the people. If you look, if you remember, what's his name, Bishop Harold Blair was a pretty influential pastor back in Jamaica, right? I think he was on every Sunday morning, and when he speak, the politicians typically listens because his congregation was massive, right? So I do believe, you know, education, but I think, you know, organizations such as the churches play a huge role. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
my apologies, my apologies. I had muted it. I was having a good disturbance. I just said that light speaker is having a go at you or me to say it's because you're conservative. That's why you think you're more educated than others. Is it me speaking to or you?
I don't know. Yeah, oftentimes I don't even pay attention to that.
But no, no, he's
Yeah,
joking actually.
I know he's probably tongue in cheek, right? But it's like,
What about
uh,
Moses? Yeah, yeah. Um, no, it is right, and even following from last week, from last week, because one can follow things through a bit, even with exorbitant airfares. My good friend who traveled to Jamaica a lot because he has bought properties in Jamaica, and he's getting his citizenship in Jamaica, and he wants to vote in Jamaica. For those who are going to say we're anti-voting, because on FFBJ, Facilitators for Better Jamaica, or guys say, I'll fight till I die. Nobody overseas will vote. But my guy has gone to Jamaica and buy two houses. And right now, he's gonna talk about this some other time when he gets it. He said there's a big issue with these gated communities as well, whereby there's an issue with the service charge that people have to pay, and people don't want to pay the service charge. And what is happening is a lot of rubbish and all those things which is there. But he said flights with TUI Thompson Now Airways is a good alternative. And that is also the alternative which my friend used, whose brother passed away recently. And there's a Sky Scanner sky scanner where people can also check and make their flights, create their flights, sort of build it in a way as different ways, or people can actually circumvent the typical what should I say, British Airways and Virgin as well. So that is two things that came out of last week, and I want to follow that up as well. That is with the flight bit there. I mean, you got more you want to say, but you maybe can't say it now only in regards to flights. Just to follow that one up a bit.
And I think we talk. It's flight is flight the airline the fears is a supply and demand issue, right? So if you take the U.S., you take the U.K., there are routes, and these routes are owned by different airlines.
Mm.
And if I recall, British Airways still fly to Jamaica. Virgin, I think Virgin flies to Jamaica, right?
Virgin, yeah, Virgin goes to Montego Bay. Mm.
Montego Bay, and then you have American Airlines, Delta, you have JetBlue, um, um, Southwest, right?
But it seems
Those
like
are
America's got a better deal, though, I must say.
yeah, because we're closer, right? And then
Yes.
you have sort of more capacity in terms of tourism. I believe Jamaica get about what 2-3 million a year, and probably about from the U.S. So you have that volume, and then you have site like Expedia, Travel Velocity, and others that you can leverage. And some of the hotels like Booking, you could get packages. So for the UK, it's amount to who owned the routes coming out of UK into Jamaica, and do you have the volume so you could lower the prices, right? So
Mm.
to your point, if you have alternatives such as charters, charters are helpful. The only problem with charters is that they normally go once a week or twice a week, so they're not as convenient
Mm.
uh, on a day-to-day basis if you want to hop into Jamaica for 2 days and then hop back out. But those are alternative. But to your point, lobbying the government, or I don't know what you call it in the UK, we call it the FAA here,
Mm.
to find out why are there not more cost-effective airline going into Jamaica, and then the inflow and the outflow. The other piece to it, Sylbourne, is what can the Jamaican government do from their side? Yeah, Air Jamaica, in my opinion, was probably one of the best airline in the world, and we decided to sell off that asset. Obviously, there's different reason behind it, but I do believe there are opportunity in Jamaica to invest in the transportation industry, especially in airlines. Because
Mm.
if you remember when Bush Stewart had Air Jamaica, you could hop on, out of Tinsipan, I think the name of that regional airport, and you could go to Cuba, you could go to Trinidad and Tobago, Dominican Republic. There was a day to day flight going all these different territories. So I
Yes.
do believe there are opportunities for investors to come in. And this is where the diaspora, as we talked about, can play a role in this whole aspect of making an investment in transportation that makes it easier for people to go back and forth.
And therefore, the most important thing is for the people to know that there are this opportunity which is there for them as well, because sometimes they don't know um, in regards to these what should I say, investment opportunities. I guess that is going to be through companies like what's the company at what Jampro
Jampro is
Jampro.
it? Yeah, Jampro, or the trade association. I think it's what it's called.
Yeah.
Uh, but I do believe there's a lot of opportunities there, and I also believe, Silborn, with I think they broke ground for that deep water port where Jamaica. I think the aspiration is for Jamaica to be the transshipment point for the Caribbean, and
Yeah.
if that comes to fruition, then that also help in terms of investment that you could bring in, because then if you look at Singapore, one of the things that Singapore has is they have one of the busiest ports in the world, that they're a transshipment point.
Mm.
So if Jamaica could get that where they're a transshipment point, I think that will create a lot of investment for others to invest in areas such as airlines or air transportation.
Well, one of the things is that it is mentioned about Singapore again, because Singapore seems to be one of those key lights or key example. Jamaica was the example for Singapore initially, and Singapore took it and run with it. And Jamaica is somewhat at where it's at. I do believe though that uh, there's a bubbling up in Jamaica, and it is like there's a sense of, I don't know. It is like communication is coming through, and people are more aware of what is happening around them. But being more aware is one thing. Are they ready to exercise? And we're going to go through a couple areas how people can exercise their democratic right and exercise how they can effect changes in different ways with governments, because it is one thing to just talk about JLP and PNP, but we're looking at a bigger thing than that. We're talking about they're talking about Vision 2030. Strangely, we haven't even heard anything, nobody talking about Vision 2030 anymore. Does that exist?
Well, it probably got updated. It's now Vision 2050.
2050. I didn't know we pay. What is HOA? Sorry
A
guys, help
home
me.
a homeowners association fee. So if you live
Oh
in like here in the U.S., like
yes,
I have a condo. I lived in a condo for about 10 years, and
yes,
what you get, you pay homeowners association fee. So you own sort of the interior of the condo, Sylbourne,
yes,
and
yes,
then anything to do with exterior maintenance, um, sort of anything to do with snow removal,
yeah,
all of that stuff. The homeowners association, you pay into it. Water, for example, was part of my homeowners association. The challenge a lot of people have with homeowner association is that the fee does go up. So you could get in a case where I think my the place that I live, I was paying $500 a month. There are
yes.
condos association fee that are as high as $5,000 a month. So that's the thing. It's like paying an additional mortgage.
What I've heard from my mate is that like people in Jamaica don't like to pay these fees for living in these gated communities, and that's one of the reasons why he's got to go down as well, because he's realizing that they have sort of stopped even finishing certain areas because the people don't want to pay their their fees. So there's an issue regarding all of these companies that is out there and doing, what they're saying, trying to get people to buy into these places, which they let me see what Michelle is actually saying. There's a good tracker for airfares named Hopper. It can alert you about the best fares in advance. See, that is the beautiful thing about this here now. So thank you for that, Veronica Tate. So there's another way how people, you see, if people know about certain things, it's like there's a picture, a video of a lovely lady, which
Hmm.
is going around. It's going around, Anil, and it's good. It's good, and it is her students are telling her, um, you know, she's a great person. They're singing for her, and this is it. When I see your face,
Nice.
it's not a thing that I would change. 'Cause you're amazing, just the way you are. And when you
Beautiful
smile,
voices.
the whole world stops and stares for a while. 'Cause you're amazing. Now, somebody posted that and said, students showing appreciation for their teacher in Jamaica. This is beautiful. Let's get it go viral. Too often we see the bad go viral, but not the good.
Yeah.
And my philosophy is saying, let's not even talk about that it won't go viral. Just share it. If you like it,
Exactly.
share it. It's like there are four black ladies who was on one of our program over in the UK. It's a bit similar to the View. Is it the View with Opera? Which one with up with win? No, with
The view
Whoopi.
is with the
Which one is
view
it?
is
Let's go. Yeah, okay, similar thing. Whoopi,
yeah,
yeah, and there's
Whoopi,
four, yeah,
Whoopi.
yeah. There's four black ladies, and the Voice newspaper over here, which is a Gleaner who owns the Gleaner owns it, said
Mhm.
um so many racist remarks that came out about these ladies on the View, and I responded. I said, I didn't see it. What are you talking about it? You know, the point I'm trying to say, I didn't actually see it. I just said, well done to the ladies. What I'm trying to say is this: there are times one can actually talk about things which you don't have to talk about, or share it which you don't have to share it. You can't stop people from being racist or making their comments, but you don't have to be what should I say, a speaker box for it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to amplify it, right?
Yeah,
My grandmother always said the best in disinfection is just silence, meaning you just don't give people the you just don't give them oxygen,
the
and if they
oxygen.
don't have oxygen, then they stifle.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So I think there's also the other thing. There's also Google Flight Tracker, which
mm,
you could use. Google will do a pretty good comparison. There's Kayak. Kayak is pretty good as well.
yes,
Kayak is good that you could use for flight. The other thing a lot of folks do, which you have to really think about it, there are some people who, if they have credit cards,
yes,
they will get credit cards that give points, and with those points, you could convert them into airline miles. So, for
yes,
example, I use my credit card to shop, and then I pay it, but then for every dollar, I get a point.
yes,
So if I want to go places, I could convert that to travel points. And oftentimes, I don't know in the UK, but American Airlines have a program,
yes,
and I don't believe it's just American Airlines. There's probably others that if you have a death in the family or sickness and you need to travel, you could call them and they'll give you a discount.
yes.
They have what you call, I forgot what they call it, but they have a couple of programs that you could leverage in time of need where they'll give you up to 20 to 30% discount.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I want to go into it's 10:30. I want to go into when you hear about lobbying government, and ladies and gentlemen, when you hear the term lobbying government to effect change, and let's not just think about the United States of America, because the United States of America have a different way of lobbying. This is like a big money
The
thing, you know. What
industry, it's an industry, it's a
I mean?
large
It's an
industry.
industry. It's an industry by itself, you know. And when I created Facilitators for Better Jamaica, as one of the things I was talking about, a lobby group, a think tank that speaks upon issues affecting Jamaica and Jamaicans around the world. And one of the things that we did, we were very integral in the teachers. When the teachers in the UK were going to be kicked out from Jamaica because they changed the rules, and there was a thing called qualified teacher status. And the qualified teacher status, they have to have that, or else they're going to have to go back to the Caribbean. So we did a whole scale thing. I remember I was lobbying and standing outside the Home Office and say justice for the people. And I
So,
remember, hmm?
so sorry, before you go, Veronica Tate made a good point because
Oh,
I think,
sorry. Yeah.
yeah, around traveling, because I don't believe a lot of our folks will do it. If you travel, whether it's JetBlue, American Airlines, Southwest, Delta, if you sign up for their programs, every time you travel, you get points.
Mm.
And those points can be converted, as I mentioned before, and you only pay the taxes. So if you travel 2 3 times, those accumulate over time. And there are some programs that, for example, American Airlines have a credit card that if you get the credit card, obviously if you look at the terms,
Yes.
you get 60,000 points right off the bat, and that and other airline has the same thing. So there are ways
Mm.
and tips and tricks out there that you could use to travel. I know people who travel around the world only in points.
Yes. I want to say to persons out there like Veronica, I know you can send me things on what's on on Facebook. But let me give you another address. You can even email me things to regarding these airfares, because I want to sort of build up this whole airfare thing, so people, so we can have a database on it, how people can understand that you don't have to go to Virgin and BA. You can find different ways. You can go to the Caribbean, and actually, it could it could be said that O'Neill and to other people, that going to Jamaica could be a trek. You could just take it as a exploring the world, because you might have to go to Germany, you might have to go to Russia, you might have to go different places, and then find a land in Jamaica. And surprise, surprise, you might find a very much more economical flight. I must say. Vita is saying good evening as well. Good evening, Vita. Yeah,
Evita.
yeah,
No, so
and
sorry. I just want to highlight that there's ways that you could sort of leverage to get points, because
yeah,
I don't think I've paid for a vacation travel in probably 5 years, Sylbourne. I use my points
really.
to do it.
So I mean to say, with the points that you use to get flights, you
Mhm.
also get points on top of those points.
Correct. So what I do is that, and it's a friend of mine told me about it years ago, and he was telling me when he takes his family on vacation, it doesn't cost him any money. I'm like, how do you do that? He's like he has an American Express card, and he buys everything with it, and then he pays it off at the end of the
Yeah.
month.
Oh, that's
So
what Veronica just said right there. But yeah,
yeah, and it's American Express. It could be others, but they could give you 2x points. So say for example, if I buy gas, grocery, I pay my taxes, whatever, I use my American Express card.
yes.
So throughout if you think of, you
Oh,
spend tuition and whatever,
sorry, I just
I
realized
use
Lester came.
all of
Yeah,
that. Hey, Lester,
Lester, how are
and
you doing?
you
Good
accumulate
night,
all.
gentlemen.
Hey,
Yeah,
what's going on? You
okay.
accumulate all these points, and then you just use it for air travel. You can use it to buy things. So, like last year, through that program, I had almost 900,000 points that I could use, because you get all these programs. So there's different ways you could use tips and tricks to do that. But one
Can
is
you
through,
can you sell the points or transfer the points?
yes, you can. So, like for
You can
example,
transfer it to me and Lester, so we got Jamaica.
so like if you have a family member that needs to travel, you could actually transfer points to them for them to buy stuff.
Okay, Lester, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah,
What's
you're
going on,
Um,
Les?
O'Neill, you brought up a brilliant point, and this is where I think that um the the Minister of Tourism also need to look into marketing this aspect also, where um you in terms of packaging, encourage people to use their points to travel, because a lot of, as you said, is a friend that told you this, right?
mm,
So it wasn't an institution that told you this, it was a friend, right? So we are, tourism wise, we can say, hey, if you use your Amex card, or you use, such or such card, you get certain points, and you can book hotels, you can book this. So the travel and the stay don't cost you actual money. And you can use the actual money on the ground to move around and do stuff and stuff like that. So I think we to encourage more people to track more, also to get points, so they can have a nice 2 weeks vacation. But these are some of the things that I think in terms of tourism we can go also.
so what you're saying, Lester, is that okay? You mentioned the minister. What you're saying is that the information is out there, but it needs to be pulled together and harnessed so we can actually
From an
share it.
institutional standpoint, yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, as you rightly say, and as what O'Neill said, if people are knowledgeable of these different ways how they can travel and they go to Jamaica, who is going to benefit? Jamaica, because these people
Exactly.
are actually the less money that they instead of having £1,000, which they have to travel to Jamaica,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they pay £700 or £600. That money is going to go to Jamaica big time, and most of these people don't want to stay in hotels. They
But
might go in a hotel, but they want to go outside.
but even apart from just the traveling aspect of it, right?
Yeah,
every person spend money on different things.
Mm.
And what I would encourage folks to do, if you have a credit card, get one that give you points,
Mm.
2x points, 3x points, because you could use that not just for traveling, you could use that to buy stuff. A lot of these different programs, you go on their website, you could buy school things for your kids, you could buy television, you could buy all these different things as
Yep.
part of the
Yep.
program, right? So the thing is that information, I think Veronica said knowledge is power, but information is also power. And this
Yeah.
is where, you know, other folks will take advantage of these programs and we don't, right? Because we don't get that information, right? So the more we could help our folks and our people to understand that, hey, let's get return on every dollar that we spend. So if you're spending $2,000 a year, if you could get back a point that you could spend on something for your kids or yourself,
Yeah.
let's take advantage of those programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining, and those on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for joining tonight. And let's know what you're drinking. And ladies and gentlemen, what you're drinking, you can just post up what you're drinking as well, because information is power, knowledge is power, and somebody may actually. What's that, Lisa? What?
Green
Hold on.
juice.
Well, everything green today. What's that?
Green juice. So it's kale, spinach, carrot, pop choy, okra,
You make that
lime.
you you make that?
Yeah. And we put strawberry as a sweetener.
That don't look like a strawberry in there.
Where, where, where,
I don't,
you mean where the red this? Where the red? You're completely green out the
After you
red.
agree with that.
I just four strawberry we put in it.
How much?
Four.
Four
You know,
strawberry.
so Sylbourne, he was afraid to turn orange.
Yeah, we got green. Yeah, orange and green. Wait, red and green. Red and green turn orange, isn't it?
Exactly.
Orange in it, man. We put carrot in it.
Yeah, so they say you left the Baileys in 2022. I don't understand that one. He left the Bailey in 2022, But anyway, okay, well, anyway, well, thanks for that. And ladies and gentlemen, please do send that email in or so of the different ways I can fly, because we'll just sort of keep these things and put them together and show ways how we can do that. Because in few years ago, we did the lobby for the airport passenger duty tax, and I still have the Facebook page, which is called Caribbeans Against High Plane Fears or something like that. So we still can keep doing that. But anyway, I want to talk about this way. If somebody, if if people want to actually effect changes in a country through policies and government, remove government or whatever like that, what are the different steps? What are the different things they can do? If you're not happy and you want to do things, what are the different ways they can do it? And people don't think so. We're trying to overthrow anybody here, so well, education is key. Good evening, Vita, Michelle. Red and yellow turn orange. Red and yellow. Oh, red. Oh, yeah, yeah. There we go. Well, I guess she educate us, man. Yeah, red and yellow turn orange. Yeah, not
I
Yeah,
red
think
and
man
green.
colorblind, here, Michelle.
What's that?
Man colorblind.
yeah. So the thing is that if you look at it, Sylbourne,
Yeah.
and you look at you rightly said it, within the U.S. lobbying is an institution.
Mm,
So companies lobby, organization lobby, and they spend an enormous amount of money lobbying government, right,
mm,
to enact policy that are favorable to one companies or the other. You also have these what we call political action committees that also lobby government. So if you come into Washington D.C. and you go what they call K Street, huge lobbying industry there, and there is sort of what we call this revolving door of congressmen and women who are government official who actually retire, go to K Street, and come back and lobby the government. And if you take it one step further, Jamaica, culturally, I think, Jamaica had amplified sort of different channels of how they talk with their government. So we talked about the churches. The churches, the pastors play a huge role, and that's why you see a lot of politicians when you have what they call it, a rally. I think they used to call it back in Jamaica. They'll show up for these things.
Yeah.
But the other thing that was an institution back then, and I don't know how that institution, if it still exists. I know JP still exists, but the justice of the peace in each community were one of the mouthpieces, right? So if you have grievances, because the justice of the peace in each community, typically a pastor or some other persons
Yeah.
in that community that are influential. But then you have the counselors
Yeah.
that sit in the communities, right? And the counselors, they sort of they sense what's going on in the community and supposed to talk to the MP, right? And they're supposed to get the resources they want. But
And when you say councillors, you're talking the political, the
yeah,
local
the
government.
counselors. So you have the JP, the pastors, the counselors, and then you have different civic organizations that will interact with whether the MPs or the different governments. But I don't believe Jamaicans traditionally like will go lobby government, right? It's not a lobbying in Jamaica is not an industry in per se. And I don't know if in the UK if lobbying is a big industry, but in Jamaica culturally it's not where, if you live in Mandeville and you have uh, things that you want to engage the government with, you typically go to the counselor, you try to get with the MP, or you try to get with a pastor or someone else that is influential with that community. But to your point, I think the last point I'll make is, and the interesting thing, we talked about this about 2.5 years ago to say,
Yeah.
how can, Jamaicans sort of take, a page out of, what we do in the US and the UK and lobby the government. But in order for you to lobby, you have to understand the policies that the government are enacting. But I think it's a powerful way for the citizens to lobby outside of the electoral process.
Yeah. Lester.
Um, I kind of agree and kind of disagree somewhat with O'Neill. The last thing that he said about Jamaica don't have a culture of lobbying. Remember, the political parties were formed with the unions, and the
No,
unions
sir,
used to
sir. What
lobby.
I mean by that, sir, Lester, they don't have a lobbying as in like the US, where it's an industry, where
Okay,
it's
okay,
a
Yeah.
30-40 billion-dollar a year
yeah,
industry. That's
yeah,
what. Let
correct,
me
no,
just.
correct. Okay. I'm glad that you clarify that, because I was going to go back to how the political parties were actually
Yeah.
formed because of the unions, and they used to lobby the government at the day, which was the British government anyway. But what has broken down in the society is, as you said, the civic groups. When I was younger, and even before my time, each community used to have police youth club or dance group, or some type of group. And I remember my dad telling me about and other older persons. So like below Crossroads, below Half a Tree, for those who live in Kingston, right? Each of these communities, the Trench Town, the Alman Town, the Denham Town, all these places had vibrant groups. And you have a marching band, you had all these type of groups, but especially the youth club, the community youth club, used to lobby for things to happen in the community. So you want a road for fix, or you want gully to be cleaned, or so they used to be the voice. And the councillors used to pay attention, and there was the eyes and ears of the council, and they keep things, in check. You want a garbage pan at a strategic location. It was the civic club, the youth club, who used to go out and get these things done. What started to happen is politics started to creep in it, right?
Yeah.
And change the whole complexion of it. So what started happening now, instead of serving the community, so if it's a JLP community and the politics creep into it, it became now like a JLP club, and So JLP people, so the PMP people were marginalized and vice versa. And that kind of eroded how persons used to get things done in the communities, and it also mashed up the fabric of the togetherness of the community. Because persons now who are not aligned to one of the political party would then not feel represented at the community level through the club. So these are some of the things that we have to get back to say, hey, outside of politics, right? Let us have these clubs where when the councillor come or the MP come, we can say, hey, these are our issues. And this is what we want to be addressed. Instead of what we have now is that if there's a grievance that there's no water, or there's no roads, or no electricity, or there's an issue, we start mashing the place and burn down the place and block the road, which has not been effective.
Yeah.
Regardless of what we say, this attitude by blocking the road and them something there has not been effective.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at the number one there, which I flagged up there. Face to face lobbying. People can meet with their political representatives in person to discuss an issue. How effective is that? Let's use an example. Okay, that is one of the ways, because lobbying comes in different factors. Okay, we got the money big ones, but you have different steps, which I'm going to set out there. Face-to-face lobbying, people can meet with their political representatives. How effective is that, for argument's sake? Can anybody say, well, I want to meet with my MP? And say the person's a big JLP, and then the MP's a big PNP, or the or vice versa. How is that?
So it depends, but I want to touch on something that Lester said, because I
Yes.
think it's important around, if you sort of look at the genesis and the history of activism in Jamaica. You have Bustamante and all the trade unions. The trade unions actually played a huge role back in the day. But Lester made a point that over the years, the luster and the power that the trade union has declined. And some of that was, I think, purposefully, because each political party never want the trade unions to have such a voice that it impact their power, right? So they made sure to, what you call, I'll use the word, water down and make the trade unions somewhat irrelevant. I also believe that the culture advanced in the community, especially in some of the garrison place, and some people might disagree with this point, but I do believe some of the dons became sort of the uh, what word I want to use? They become sort of the power structure within the communities.
The
Um,
de facto leader, in a
de
sense.
facto leaders in the communities, and I think that sort of helped erode that. But to your question around face to face, here in the U.S., you know, politicians are funded, and I think it's the same thing in Jamaica. Um, is that when you have any political events, whether it's an election or anything, it takes money. And if you remember, there was some corruption issues that money was given to one political party back in the day, and it was for election. So the question becomes, and I don't
You mean
know,
traffic euro, right?
say that again.
Traffic euro.
Yeah. That was the scandal back in the day. But each individual, I don't know this. This the answer is, you know, does each individual give to a politician? And I could tell you probably the answer is no. It's mainly corporation or high net worth individuals. So if I am an MP and Lester is in my community, yeah, I might talk to Lester a face to face and have a discussion, but how much of discussion then bleed over into how I made policies, right? And I think that's the big difference, is that the man on the street don't really have a voice per se, unless there's a collective voice. And I think that's where the trade unions came in. Now, if Leicester and I or Sylbourne have the means and we could donate to the political parties, now we could enact different policies that benefit the institutions that we're part of. So I think I don't. My opinion, Sylbourne. I think the man on the street, it's not effective. But
Mm.
I think the folks who have means, it's much more effective because the politician know that when it's time for election, they could come to Sylbourne Leicester and say, "Hey, I need $100,000," and you get
What you
that
want and what you want. And
exactly
how can I help you if anything like that?
right.
You,
So
you know,
that's what my thought on it.
yeah. You know,
Uh,
go on, listen, go on.
okay. I don't know how close you gentlemen are with any sitting MP. Um, but okay, there are a few MPs that I'm, relatively close to, and the complexion of politics have changed, and we have seen a more sensitive electorate, right? Yeah, and we are seeing a re-emergence of the middle class now, and the middle class is younger and they're educated, and a lot of them are not about leaving Jamaica, but staying and building in Jamaica, and they want conditions right. Now, gone are the days when MP used to come, you vote for him, and 5 years time you see him again. Them days are done. People are demand to see them MP now, right? And that has been a while now, maybe the last 10 years or so. And it increased over the last 5, 6 years now. And it can be a blessing and a curse that the JLP is in power now and people are hold the fire to them. You have constituency days. So some MP would meet on like every Tuesday at 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, or every Thursday or whatever. So you can walk in, whether you're PMP or GLP, walk in and you make representation to the MP regarding your issues or personal issues or community issues or whatever, right? Some communities have like the church group will go or things like that. But what is happening more now is people are more engaged on a personal level with them MP. A particular MP and I were talking last week. I'm gonna say, yo, you forget me, I'm not here for you, da 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 da. Right? The person linked me about something and we are talking. And the person said, may I set my community, may I set my constituency. Meaning say they must spend time in the constituency, listening to the voice of the people, going back to parliament with it, trying to effect policies that will reflect that. Also, they're looking funding outside of just the CDF, the Constituency Development Fund, outside of that, because it's 20 million Jamaican dollar. That's not a lot. So they're seeking funding from other agencies or private entities to fix them constituency, right? When you look at constituencies like Central Manchester, Rhoda Crawford, right, where she's doing wonders in that constituency. When you look at Nesta Morgan, right, and even with Michael Phillips, right, you see where people are actually sitting down in the constituency, being there, right, and I can list out many MPs, but I don't want to make it sound like a labor at me a push. What I'm saying, I've seen it on both sides somewhat, right? Mark Golden in the start of this month issued 2 other hope houses to persons in his constituency. That brings it up to 4 that he has issued now. So people are engaging in politicians more now and say, listen, we want this, I want this. So sometimes it's a personal level, sometimes it's a community level. So the engagement is more now because, and we have seen it in with Tamika Davis in
Yeah,
Hanover, where she was absent and people Blackwood and said, look, we want to see the MP. We see
yeah.
with Marsha Smith in St. Anne, where people say, look, we're not see the MP, we want to see the MP. So people are more responsive now to the MP.
So I
I, I,
think
I I
think
think I think something about that though, Lester. When I listen to you, one would a picture is painted to a certain extent, like not that all is well, but it is getting better. Like things are getting better in the sense of the communication. But I think in a way there's a lot of emphasis on an MP, a member of parliament, for answers when it shouldn't be. It should actually be with the local councillors as well. Too much power in a way, and funding also is invested in members of parliament.
so.
Uh,
So I think Sylbourne. I
yeah,
think
go
you
on. Yeah.
Now, I don't know how ubiquitous what Lester just said is
Mm.
across Jamaica. I think you have pockets. Like, for example, I do believe Mike Henry is arguably one of the best MP in Jamaica. And if you go into his constituency, just look at the roads. I think his constituency in terms of infrastructure and what he has done for that community is a is a playbook that every MP should take and leverage because he does a lot for his community. Because
Mm.
I could tell you, Lester, the community that my folks live in right now. There's a guy who was there. He's not from the community. He was brought in. He's the MP now, and the roads from Spalding to Frankfield has been bad for 10 years and it's still bad, right? So and people block road, people have been uh asking for just a simple infrastructure upgrade, and that has not happened. So I think there are pockets, and this is where I will elevate it and say, right, this is where the leaders, meaning Andrew Holness, Mark Golden, need to ensure that the MPs not just go and have a conversation with O'Neill and Lester, but is actually taking the input and going back to Parliament, right? Because and I don't know this, Lester. You probably know this much better than I do. I don't know if when member of parliaments are putting together a bill,
Mm.
like in the US, if they go out and solicit input from the community, they don't have community meetings, right? Like here, if there's a big piece of legislation that need to be enacted, you'll see where congressmen and women
Of
will go
consultation.
across their constituents and have town hall meetings to
Mm.
solicit feedbacks. And maybe these are some of the behaviors. It's not just a one-on-one, all right, is where counselors to Sylbourne Point and civic organizations are taking the grievances and the challenges that the citizens are going through and take it. But the question becomes, as part of the whole process, how do you hold them accountable, right?
Mm.
Because I think that's the issue, is that most politicians in Jamaica are not held accountable. And then you have some politicians that, when they think outside of the box, and one of them that I know, Damien Crawford, is an example where he thinks outside of the box in terms of how he engaged. People said, I don't want that type of representation. So
Mm.
I think it's a very complex issue. Um, and the question becomes, how do we get not just focusing on the politician itself, but how
Mm.
do we get civic organization to be part of the solutions?
Let's say you go ahead because
But,
I
Mark,
something else I want to say. Yeah. Mm. Go.
okay. As I said, I don't know how much you know about the structure of government in Jamaica, how it really
Yeah,
Very,
man.
operates,
very
right?
well, Lester. Very,
Same as England.
same as you, Lester.
No,
I might
no,
not
no,
know
no, no, no,
the
no.
I might not know the players as intimate like
Yeah.
you are, but I know some of the players, but I don't know them as
No,
intimate as.
Yeah. I know the
fine.
structure.
I'm
I
saying
know the
I don't.
structure as in the
No,
UK
I don't.
Westminster system.
I'm saying I don't know, right? I'm saying I don't know how much you know. So take that constituency for example,
I'm
right?
Jamaican, Lester. I'm
We're
not.
all Jamaicans, man.
I know, I know,
We did civic,
I know.
Lester. We did civic.
The, the,
Straight from
We
here.
went to Edward Island. They teach civic and they teach government.
O'Neill,
Rachel
the
Whiteman used to be my
average
principal.
the average Jamaican don't know how government running now.
But I'm not
That,
average.
that
Not
is why I'm
average.
here. That is why I'm here. For what you just said a while ago,
So
and I'm
so
following that through.
take
Yeah.
so we educate the public now. The road between Spaldings and Frankfield, the road I know very well, right? Um, now the CDF is $20 million, and a specific portion of the CDF have to go towards roads, a specific percentage have to go towards education, welfare, and so on and so forth, right? So the $20 million break up into five pieces.
Yeah.
Now, to fix that road alone, if you're going to use the CDF money, we take out the whole of the money for roads out of the CDF. So no other road could fix for that financial year,
Mm.
right? Now, it's a main road. right? So the council can't fix it. It have to be NWA. Now, if NWA don't have that road on their list to fix in this year, but they have it for 2026, right? It would have to take some serious lobbying for them to move it up because NWA may have other roads in the constituency that they have intended to fix. Now, what the MPs need to do, and I've said this to several of them, go to the people, like what you said, go to the people and have meetings and say, listen, I have made representation to the agencies responsible for fixing roads. All right. I will want to fix these 10 roads.
Mm.
From
Let's
the initial
phrase it.
initiation, the process it takes to the road actual to the money being dispersed and the contracts and everything, it can take up to a year.
Mm.
It can take up to a year. So these are some of the information that the community don't have. So there may very well be representation for that road, right? But the process it takes to get to the actual issuing of the contract, right, and the road to start fix can be up to a year or even more.
Is
So,
it
so,
okay?
So
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 Lexa,
so
Oh, all right.
what a lot of MP is fix 10 use our money there instead of fix one main road, fix 10 road in the constituency.
so, so maybe Lester, then the solution could be, right? How do you're saying there's a $20 million that is there for multiple other different things, right? It
Yeah.
could be that policy need to change to say that $20 million should not include infrastructure such as a road, etc., etc. And there's another fund that provide road work, or could it be similar to what they're doing with the highways, where you bring in private companies that actually fix these roads, and then what you could do is charge tolls, but you subsidize the toll, where the government subsidize the toll. So the road that we talked about from Spaldings to Frankfield, or from all the way down to Mapen, if Lester and O'Neill said, "Hey, we're gonna fix that road, and we're gonna fix it, but for the next 5 years, we're gonna collect tolls on that road," and then the government come in and subsidize, so the people who don't have the means could then, it could be some part of the solution where, one, you're moving that expenditure from outside of the current buckets of funding for the constituency, and you're moving it somewhere else, or you're finding other fund. And the other thing too, should the government look at, and I don't know this, and you might know this, so Lester, should the government look at probably increasing or adding a gas tax, or adding some type of a tax that
Mm.
is geared towards road and maintain the road, where, hey, if I increase gas tax by 5 cents or whatever the number is that a fund that I could use to fix the road? Because the exterior roads are being taken care of, right? Is mainly the interior roads. And could we look at changing the way that infrastructure is funded?
Mm. The thing I'm thinking about is this, and it's and it's in
And
what I'm there. Can you hear me? Is Lester frozen? Let's say it's frozen.
Yeah, he's having some issues.
Yeah, Lester, you're saying something. Sorry.
no, I'm saying what O'Neill just said. Juliet Holness and I think Orlando Terrelong has been lobbying the central government to increase the CDF, and also what is it, like to remove certain things, or let certain things, like certain agencies take over certain things instead of it come into the CDF. But 20 million Jamaican dollars is not a lot of money, although it 20 million times 63, but it is still not a lot of money for an MP. Like East Portland have 58,000 people. You know, Jamaica, the second most roaded country in the world apart from Japan. So it needs beefing up a bit.
Listen, my philosophy is that, and my thinking is that this consolidation fund, for argument's sake, which is given to members of parliament, it shouldn't be given to members of parliament, actually. And there's no need to increase it. It should be utilizing the local government and the parish councils who should be actually dealing with that. Now, I'm speaking. You can shake your head. In the UK, no MPs don't get money in them hand or whatever like that to sort out a constituency. Parish councils, the councils and the councillors them deal with that. The local government, the local authority sort out those sort of things, really. And that is what I believe should be. Now, with the parish council recently, which has even been cancelled. It has cancelled about 3 times. I don't know how many times that have been cancelled for whatever reason. But I believe what it has done, it has sort of snuffed out the voice of the people to a certain extent from actually sharing their sentiments or sharing their views to the government to give them an idea of where they are at. And then the government can actually take that on board. It has happened in the UK before in the past, whereby the local government election gave them a bloody nose and they had to really withdraw, pull back, and actually think through certain things. Now, the government is not hearing the voice of the people. The government is not hearing that. The government is hearing cries because at the last election, it was 37% of the electorate that voted in the last election, right? The JLP won 49 seats and the others won the rest. My question is, and I don't know this, how many of the eligible electorate are there on that list? And how many people in Jamaica actually is out there? How many people is the government representing? The local government election could have sent a strong signal as to where we exactly are. And I strongly believe that the local government and the parish councils and the councillors need to be more effectively equipped. Take out some of that high level responsibility from the government because what it does, it manifests corruption, scandal, and choppings. That is what it manifests in a way. And that is not a secret. That is not a secret in a way. Let me just invite Vita in. Welcome, Vita.
Blessing, play some music. It's been a while. O'Neill, how you doing?
I am doing good. How are you, Vita?
I'm doing great. As a good friend, man, you need to throw some of those benefits over here. I love to travel. Just my greetings. Sylbourne, how you doing?
I'm cool in the Malibu. I'm cool in the
My
Malibu.
blogging God, how are you, darling? You good?
I'm just a smile, sir. I'm just a smile like that. I don't
Listen, if I come in this room and you all don't smile, you know, there is a problem. But everybody drinking healthy, so I'm coming in healthy with
Yes.
the wine and making sure a glass of red wine is good for the heart. So cheers.
Yes. Cheers. Cheers. I'm having water as well.
So,
Yeah.
you know, Sylbourne, as
Yeah.
Vita come on, you're talking, there's something that, and maybe Lester, you know this. And if I go to Spalding's, back in the day when I went to Spalding Primary School, and then I don't remember when it changed, but there used to be a public work department in every major town. So
True.
in Spalding's, going up to Knox College to the left, there was a public work department, and their job was to fix the roads. So, for example, the trucks will go out, they'll fix the road, they maintain the road. What I noticed, and I don't remember exactly when, that public work department got shut down, right?
It morphed into NWA.
It did, but the thing that I thought was effective back then, they did do a good job maintaining the roads, right? It was local, and I think NWA, and you tell me if this is now regional. So there might be one in Mandeville, but there's not one in Spalding's. But I thought back in the day, those roads were kept pristine, much better than it is today. So maybe revisiting back some of those infrastructure that were in place to Sylbourne Point is to say, right, we might need to provide the resources and the funding to something like a public work department that maintain the roads and fix those interior roads.
Okay. What Sylbourne said was incorrect. local government is actually more funded than the MP them. Because MP don't get money in them hand per se. The CDF money that the MP allocate to the MP don't go to the MP him or herself. There's a
I'll be back.
CDF community.
Okay.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, keep talking. Now you have some look at distortion, but go on. We're getting it.
There's a CDF committee that disperses the money, you know. So representation is made and then do that. Local government, right? The councillors them, right? Actually get a lot more funding and out there support. So the councillors are supposed to out there do the work, you know. So what we have is a lot of lazy councillors, right? And both
that is why the government election should be called and get rid of the lazy ones. Them. So you have enough lazy people that get paid. That's scandal and corruption to the high level. Because you say them must sit down, Lester. That's what you say. They must sit down. They must sit down.
Yeah. But that happens in every jurisdiction. What I'm saying is that in terms of the funding, right? There's not a shortage of funding because remember now, the local government collect them own money now, right? So there's a lot of things that we in Jamaica put us in the MP for do this when it's actually the council them do it. But there's also the situation in Jamaica is so dire and so bad that even when like the other day 50 garbage truck come, right? 50, and when the garbage truck them disperse, you still need an next 100, right? But that just if you immediately move away the pilot that is there to fully effect change in terms of garbage collection in Jamaica, we need at least 500 to 600 garbage trucks at one time, you know. But when we look at local government now, in terms of back then, local government now operate way more efficiently now because central government not funding local government like one time. So local government are breaking its own funds by collecting fees and stuff like that, which I never usually do. So local government is well for. That's why the Mandeville Parish Council in a court right now, where there's a fraud of over 600 million Jamaican dollar missing. You know.
Yeah.
So MP don't get them level of money there. So when we're saying that the funding should be the 20 million for to the local government, the $20 million are dropping out the bucket compared to what is going through the coffers of local government.
Vita, what do you have to say, Vita?
Well, I'm not gonna go into the politics because I don't know it like how Lester can break it down. And living in America, as a lobbyist here in America for telemedicine in the medical field, I know that, as Oni said earlier, collectively, what we do, we have a group that we meet every week via Zoom, and at every December we go to Capitol Hill and we have meeting with them, and we get them to pass policies in the bills for telemedicine. 2018, when we were asking for telemedicine to be in all 50 states and for certain aspects, as far as it doesn't matter what era you are, you get to see a doctor, whether you have money or not, was a big no. And COVID kind of helped us to push it where even what we did not ask for, we were getting. So as a lobbyist and an advocate for the medical field and get to go to Capitol Hill and as a group and speak, I know that the involvement of the people is very important when it comes to politics. And even growing up in Jamaica, I was working in politics since I was like 10. 14, I was working at the polling station. Last year, when I brought my husband to my community, I was able, and I live in America since 1996, I was able to call the counselor and said, listen, I want you to meet my husband, because the fact is that if we're going to live in this community, is one of the fact that we're going to be involved. And that is the situation that the people need to be involved. The people need to be involved to make a change. Yes, the government is important as far as what's happening in the country, but we, the people, need to be involved. And it's the same thing I do in Jamaica. It's the same thing I do here, in the sense like we have to make a change. Every town hall meeting for my community, I am there. I need to know what's happening in my community. So we need to be involved. We cannot sit back and say the government need to do this or whatever. Get involved. Let them know you. Let them know that this is what, not just you, but you and the community. This is what you all believe. And this is what we are demanded for the government to do for us.
It's very interesting what you said right there, and that was very powerful about that. It is for the people to really be proactive and get involved, and this is the key thing for people, that there must be an opportunity where you can have face-to-face discussion with your political representatives and demanding that, whether one is PNP or JLP, but
doesn't matter.
It's your MP. Can I just ask this question? Does it make a big difference in Jamaica whether the person is a registered voter or not?
It does.
It does. But, you know, one of the things I think we sort of do to ourselves, and I think we let our policymaker do it. You know, if you go back, decisions are made, policies are created, right? And I think people said, you know, public works now become the national workers or whatever the term is. The question becomes, was that the right policy? Right? Because I think sometimes we don't think, we say things are done this way for the last 30 years. I think we need to start evolving and say, the way we're paying for infrastructure today is not working, right? And I could tell you firsthand, because that road that I mentioned has been bad for the last 20 years, right? It's not just today, and it's multiple different administration that has come through that. And I think we're Vita in terms of, I believe there are some people in Jamaica that has given up on politicians.
Yes.
Right? There's a lot of people in Jamaica, and it's reflected in the polls, because they have not seen anything from either parties for years, right? And I think some people, you talk to people, you ask them why they didn't vote, and they'll tell you, you know, what's going to happen if I vote, right? So I think there needs to be a change. And I think this is where I would encourage young people in Jamaica to get involved in politics, but get involved for the right reason. Not so you could make money, because I know a lot of people that says they go in there to make money.
Yeah.
And I think if that generation of people Sylbourne that come in and say, look, the way things are, the status quo, we need to change, right? Right? We need to figure out how to increase governance and change policy that make government work for the people, because government for the people, by the people, right? So
yes,
I think in the solution, I think, and that's why, you know, I don't, you know, PNP or JLP, but one of the person that has actually impressed me the most out of a lot of MP is Damien Crawford. Damien Crawford actually impressed.
He's not the MP.
Well, what I mean, he's
senator,
right?
Is a political representative. Yes,
Be an MP, is what I. But he has impressed me in his thinking and his ability to think outside of the box. And he has said it. I heard him on a show that says sometimes Jamaican people don't want to change, right? And he talks about his insight in his own community when he was trying to, you know, teach a man to fish rather than give a man to fish, or a woman. And they said, no, we don't want it. We want the money.
And you're right about that, Anil, that there need to be a level of awareness. I mean, I'm on TikTok here, and somebody, Graham said, love this channel. Jamaica could do well to engage from the diaspora and learn. Love this community leadership, new leaders, not dons. I say this as an outsider, but agitators like Andre Stevens are disruptive. I don't know where they come from, but nevertheless, still, I think the point that I want to jump on to the next point here, the next different ways people can lobby, is it's correct that people need to get involved, and how can they be stimulated, motivated? Because in a way, they are thinking that it don't make no sense either way, left or right, PNP or JLP are the same one them. If the PNP do something, the JLP say, if you go do it, no. If the JLP do something and the PNP will call them out, the JLP will say, well, we know more upon you as well. So you better shut up. So therefore, it's a catch-22 situation. And it brings forth the call for an effective third party, just like how you have the Lib Dem. But unfortunately, the third party structure in Jamaica doesn't work because it is felt and it is said that the two mainstream work together collectively to shut them out in a way. So therefore, because a third party effectively could strike some sort of balance in a way, because what we really want is good governance. What we really want in Jamaica is good governance. What we want in Jamaica is a very effective opposition. And therefore, if the opposition is not effective, then how can the people then be effective? How can the people?
Sylbourne.
Yeah.
All right. Firstly, Veronica said something that MP can divert funds. They can't divert funds outside of what the funds is allocated for, right?
You can't say
One.
she never. You can't say she wrong. You know, so Jamaica not perfect. What if they did that? What if they did that, Lester?
And it's
Can you
happening
speak?
done. And it's happening
Lester,
done.
you can't say that. She said it. Just say they shouldn't.
No, I'm saying for the CDF cannot divert the funds from the CDF.
She never
That's
said
what I'm saying.
CDF. She never said
No,
CDF.
no, but
Go
Sylbourne,
on, go on. Yeah, go on. May I listen.
the outside of the CDF, if the MP get funding privately, they can do whatever they want to do with it.
Yeah.
But I'm making the distinction of the CDF money
Yeah.
that is dedicated towards the constituency, and the MP oversees it. The MP don't get in them hand. They can divert that
MP
money.
should not even have to oversee these things. They don't do that in the UK. There are structures to make sure, because what they don't want is to put them in a corrupted situation where they can be curry favor. You protect them. You're protecting the MP. You're protecting your political officials. So the civil servants come in and they control that zone. The Nigel Clark said it the other day. I am just a policy person. I don't get into certain things. The politicians should be policy persons, not dealing with the money, Lester.
But Sylbourne,
I hear you. Yes, Lester.
all right.
So quiet when you said it. You have to say yes.
You're not allowing me to. You're not allowing me to finish the point.
Okay, Lester. I wonder why you're so
What?
quiet. You're normally more. Is Vita? Thank you, Vita, for being here. Keep him on the wraps.
Yeah. As I said earlier, there's a committee that
Yes.
disperses the CDF money. That is why you don't hear of CDF money being spent on other stuff than what is allocated for, right? But the thing is that the MP have to make representation to the committee to say, hey, we're going to paint the school, we're going to buy one computer for the police station, we're going to do this or whatever, right? So that's why you have persons like Marsha Smith and Lisa Hanna have tons of money leave back in the CDF because they're not making representation for the disbursement of it. Because the committee itself can just disperse it. So it is a structure. So the committee is there to protect the MP, as you are saying that there. So the MP don't have direct access to the cash itself.
Yes.
The committee does, right? And them can just spend. There are guidelines that are strict, that is governed by Parliament, that what they have to spend on. Because when them make the representation, it have to go to Parliament. It's a whole process. Can't bother go through that, right?
Yes.
To get to the question that you're asking now is,
which question?
The one that you move on to.
Which one is that? Which one are you answering, Lester?
The second question. What I'm saying, Sylbourne, the thing about our politics is you have to speak to the people. The third party has not been effective because of their messaging, right? Yes. Now, when we had like the Marcus Garvey party, right? It seemed too Afrocentric, and Jamaican people not connected to Africa like that. Right? And their message wasn't a widespread message across Jamaica that matched and fit all Jamaicans, right? That one. Two, there was also the what do one of Bruce Golden they head up name? NDM,
MD.
right? NDM was seen as JLP 2.0, right? So people are saying, why me don't want to vote for a second JLP when we have the original JLP,
Oh, you mean
right?
okay, yeah.
Right? Because there's a lot of MPs like from the Gang of 13 and Gang of 5 that went over there, and Vaz them and Christoph and them, and you know, and we see that
Yeah.
them come. So what is happening is the messaging and the structure. Now we have UIC. UIC is speaking as if they can create a utopia.
Yeah.
Right? So the messaging from UIC has been so bad.
Yeah.
And so, I mean about them is that it has not been connecting with the overall public.
Yeah.
That's why PNP and GLP maintain that dominance, because the messaging for the most part connect with most Jamaican, and it is in our DNA, right? Because remember, PNP are 70 years old, right? So it's even older than we're independent. So this is how much
which independence anyone.
Yeah. But this is how much it's in our DNA.
Yes.
Right? So if a third party will come in, they need funding. Unless them billionaires in them, right? Corporate Jamaica is not going to put millions and millions of dollars in a third party that don't have the messaging.
All right, let's. I hear your point, and I'm not going to disagree with that at all. I think I was using the principle of what a third party can do in Jamaica and really strike a strong balance if the people believe that they are not effectively serviced as well. So it'll be great. But as you rightly say, people need to be inspired. Jamaican people need to be inspired, and if they're not inspired, and whosoever can inspire them, inspire them. If Andrew Holness inspire them, they inspire. If Mark Golden can inspire them, they can inspire. If UIC cannot inspire them, they cannot inspire. Maybe O'Neill can inspire them, and they can be inspired, and Vita, of course, as well. Next one is O'Neill, you put your hand on your chin like you answer something.
No. Someone just sent me something, and I just want to touch on something on the CDF fund. Nigel Clark talked about reforming the CDF fund, because even though there's policy and process in place that in order to access the fund, the member of parliament and folks need to actually meet with the constituency and get the need, they don't do it.
Yes.
But the other bit that was interesting, that they have, I think IDB put a program together where what they call a citizen participation in the budget, and people don't show up. So they're looking to amend the CDF that says, to Lester's point, the MP cannot get access to the fund unless there are citizens within the community that says, hey, here are the 10 projects that we all agree that this needs to be spent on, right? But Nigel Clark also made a point that, the citizens are not showing up. And I think that's a larger discussion, in the sense that we see it in the polls, 37%. We see that there's not a lot of civic engagement. So the question becomes, why? There's no inspiration. And I believe, in my opinion, is that the trust in government is lacking, not just in Jamaica, but across, where people just do not trust their government anymore. And they just have disconnect from the entire process, which is from a governance and a democracy perspective, it's a tough pill to swallow, because the government is for the people, by the people. But if you don't vote, you don't get a say.
And I agree with you. I agree with you that, in the fact, to go back, how do we motivate the young people? The fact and the third party situation. When I was growing up, a lot of young people were involved in politics. Lester mentioned earlier about the youth clubs and stuff like that. They used to use the youth clubs to go to canvassing. We used to get work to go to canvassing. When I was in Jamaica the last time and meeting with different MPs and even with the local people, they were saying that that mentality of the handout, like as a JLP, you get this amount of money. PNP, you get this amount of money. Some of the people now, the politicians are saying, we're not into that anymore. That culture of paying the people, we're not into that. We're doing what we call it December time crash program work, where everybody work, everybody get paid. There's no special whether you're paying P or not. I like the fact, but the people are not there yet. So the young people not getting any handout don't want to be involved. You know, so do it for the community. Let them see that it is for the community. When I was in the youth groups, it was to do community work. It wasn't what I can get or what the other person can get. For people to start voting, they have to be voting for something. Now, even the politician don't believe in the politics anymore. They are not engaged. They are lazy, as Lester mentioned, because there's some work that needs to be done and they're not doing it. So how can I trust you if you haven't built that trust? You haven't gained my trust. So how can I trust you? So why did you go into politics if you're not working for the people to make sure that the people can trust you? So that's a problem when even here in America, the trust factor is that you get engaged, but you have to make sure that you're with the people, be transparent, for show them that you can trust me. The trust is not there. And someone mentioned about the trust issue. Yes, it's a big factor across the board. It doesn't matter the Jamaica or here in the US. It's a trust factor that we are facing. People don't believe anymore in politicians.
Well, you know what? Yeah,
Politics
sorry,
now.
sorry. Vita, you're so right, because I think it was O'Neill and myself were speaking about the fact that in the world now, with Russia, Ukraine, the UK, we're not seeing a strong leader or leaders that is out there can actually even pull Putin and these guys together and say, come on, guys, listen, man, let's sort this out. It's like the world is now on a sort of autopilot whereby there's no one with a sense of any clear respect. Yes, Fidel Castro, whether he's communist or not, he stood his ground and he was a very firm leader. Yes, Reagan, Margaret Thatcher, the last person I believe was the lady from Germany, Merkel. You know, there's no sort of strength in persons anymore there. So it's not just a Jamaica thing. Let me get it right. It's not just a Jamaica thing whereby people are lacking in leadership and having lack of confidence in leaders. I mean, even the UK here, many people are saying we have an unelected PNP. PM. You're glad for that, Lester. You're glad for that,
That's what they call a Freudian slip.
Huh? What's that?
Make that in a clip, you know.
Freudian slip.
well, they're unelected anyhow still, so therefore that's correct. Only if they come. It is like that guy, MP George something, who went and sit in Mark Golden's seat the other day.
Yeah, George Wright, yeah.
George Wright, when they said go and sit in that seat, that was a funny thing there in part. But anyway, to the point there before you guys.
But Sylbourne, hold on.
Yeah.
To piggyback on a point that Mark made, O'Neill made,
yeah,
a very important point. And when Highway 2000 was about to be constructed, the Honorable Percival James Patterson, right, sought interaction from the citizens of Portmore.
Yeah.
For almost 2.5 years, I think, right? And they had town hall meetings in every single Portmore community. And you know what happened? The people did not turn up. So you have 5 somebody come at this one, 10 somebody come at this one, 2 somebody come at this one, 30 come at the next one, right? So persons were not turning out. So the issues that were because guess what? The toll road was supposed to be actually a Mandela highway.
Yes.
Right? It is boys, the toll company, French company, saw Portmore as a dormitory community and said, hey, we can get higher money here if we put the toll here. Because the Edward Seaga originally designed a 6-lane highway for Portmore, right? Removing the causeway, although in the causeway, but removing the causeway. Now, so it's the same concept them take from UDC and put there, but then put a toll road there.
Yeah.
Now, if the citizens come out and say, listen, we do not want a toll road, but because there wasn't an overwhelming representation from the people right, coming out. And whether you're not you're inspired or not, something is happening major like this in your community. If you come out and even just listen for if a fortune them attack, right? The same thing happened with the Portmore turning the 15th parish. And Dr. Andrew Wheatley, as my best man, went all over Portmore having town hall meetings. Nobody turned up, right? In the Zoom meeting, very little people joining and stuff like that. And we have seen where this happen time and time again where politicians engage us and say, hey, look here with that with the needs thing with the ID, right? Over 138 groups were consulted, right? So these are some of the things that we have to get as a people. We have to say, all right, listen, we want better for ourselves. So we are going to engage and say we're going to turn up. We need to do that.
So you're right about that. Yeah, it is people need to turn up and be proactive. O'Neill, please. Yeah.
But I think, Lester, I think it's a larger issue around trust in government. The fact that people just don't trust the word of government. And whether I think if you sort of do the sentiment of the people that didn't show up, they probably tell you whether we say nay or yea, they're still going to do what they want to do, right? So it goes back to what we talk about. There's a lack of trust in Jamaica in government, not just in Jamaica, but what has the politician done since then? So you mentioned the gentleman who said nobody showed up, but did he go one step further and ask the question, why didn't my constituents show up? Why didn't people show up? Because if the issue is that people just don't trust that you're going to take our input, then they won't show up, right?
Yeah.
And this is where politicians need to, it's a two-way street, because what we are seeing is a lack of trust, and it's not good for democracy. Because what you have, if you look at every election in Jamaica over the last couple of years, it's a dwindling electorate. It's 40%, it was 30 something, and the next one could be 20%, right? So to me, if you're sitting there in the leadership chair, that just tells you you have a problem, and you have to go figure out how to engage with the community in a different way and build back that trust.
And that's one of the reasons why I kept saying that I believe the government of Jamaica missed a trick, because having that local government election could actually help them and steer them in a way so they can actually hear what the people say. In the UK, when we had the Conservative and the Lib Dem formed the coalition, and it was Tweedledee, Tweedledum, what the bigger analysis political guys them said, what we have picked up here, and they said it that night, is that the people do not trust one government by themselves. They trusted them to work together. They want the government to work together, and it sent a strong signal. I believe a local government election could send a strong signal, maybe a bloody nose to Andrew Holness, but at the same time, that bloody nose is there's okay, I've heard, I'm listening. Let me actually do these things and change these things. It has happened with Conservative Party in the UK. It has happened with Labour Party in the past, whereby the local government election did serve them a bloody nose, and they went ahead and they learned. But right now, I believe the Labour Party, if anything, is operating, believing it's operating in the best interest of Jamaica, which you think it is, but it'd be good to hear what the people are actually saying. And I believe that is the whole aspect of the local government election could have done something and benefit the country in a way. Yeah.
So you're saying now, if they call election now, it would make a difference and send a message to the people when
Send a message to the government.
To the government.
Yes.
And but the last time was what, 35% of the people that voted?
That was 37. That was the general election.
Right. Right. And that's the point. So if that was a general and that amount turnout, who's going to turn out for the
Well, we don't know. That is why it can't operate. You see, what as O'Neill said, what if it's 20%? That is going to say something is really, really bad. What if? So therefore, this is actually a signal to show, hang on a second, why are people not interested? Is it only going to be the dieharded JLP or PNP people who are registered? I understand that even if a third party is to start in Jamaica, you need 500 persons on the electoral register. And guess what? most of the persons on the electoral register are already sold out to JLP or PNP.
And
And
that
yet,
is the problem.
and guess what? About 3-4 times more apparently in the country, not on the electoral register. And yet at the same time, I'm just saying maybe, let's say maybe. And then at the same time, you have a government, if anything, operating as if they have a majority. Yes, they have a majority in the House, but not have a majority of the hearts.
So Sylbourne, if you look at it from a, you know, an incumbent administration, low turnout traditionally benefit the party that is in power. So whoever is in power is not going to try to fix the turnout, right? Because for them, it's in their benefit. And I do believe, you know, if you sort of look at the electoral process in Jamaica, both parties have used local government election as a political pawn. They only call it when it's in their best interests,
Yes.
right? They only call it so they have done the sensing and realized that if they call the election today, they're gonna get a political drubbing, and they don't want to hand the opposition anything, right? So they're saying, look, you know, we think our hands, if you play poker, is going to be strengthened in the next couple of months or another year before we turn, and that's the issue, right? It's been politics, and it goes back to what we just talked about, is trust in government, and this is why you have a lack of trust in government.
O'Neill,
And yeah, go on.
in 1986, right?
I wasn't born then,
When
sorry.
I wasn't born it either.
You all
Listen.
just shocked. You all just gave him a shock.
I know.
in 1986, when the local government election was called, and this is 3 years removed from the snap election in 1983,
Yeah.
right? Now, the census, the polls, were not favoring the Jamaica Labour Party, right? Edward Seaga push ahead. Edward Seaga push ahead and have the local government election, and the PMP won the local government election. Now, one party win the local government election. Usually, that party win the next central government election, which happened when 2003, when when JLP won the local government election, and we saw 2007 when the JLP won the central government election, the general elections, right? Now, I think that the politics have learned from that and said, look here, we now go call the local government election if it not favorable. We, which me not wrong them. Why call them a beating for yourself?
But that's not the interest of the country, and I know that's not the interest of the country. And I can go further. The prime minister, I believe, said he's going to have fixed terms, was going to come shortly at some point, even for the general election, whereby in the UK we know when there's going to be a general election, May the 5th or so, in a couple of years or a year time
Same
or
thing
so.
here. Same thing here in America.
And however, due to COVID, they had changed that date. They went through Parliament and changed that date because they were all trying to get, well, actually before Brexit, they were trying to get the Brexit done with Boris and everything like that. So I believe, Lester, and you need to, yes, Lester, yes, you, please, yes, go and tell Andrew and those guys, put these things into fixed dates. So therefore, the prime minister can't wake up and say, I got a dream.
They won't do it. Sylbourne, neither party is in their interest to do it. Because you know why?
Yeah.
If the PMP is in power, they'll do the same thing.
Same thing.
So neither party is going to say, I'm going to put a fixed date, because it does not benefit their political capital, right? But you make the interesting point, right? Not interesting point, the great point. It doesn't benefit the people.
Doesn't benefit the people.
But I could bet you any money, there is not a situation where the PMP and the JLP is going to agree that we're going to change the constitution to have fixed date, because they want to control that date, because it's political capital for them, and they want to spend it when it's in their party's best interest. Because to Lester's point, if you go back into the history of the electoral process, both party has abused the system, right? And this is where the point around citizens getting involved, right? But how do you change that? Because both party has a stranglehold. It's not just in Jamaica. In the US here, we have two political parties that have a stranglehold on the electorate. When Rossborough, for example, Sylbourne got 20%, they made sure they changed the process.
They shut
If
him
you're
out.
a third party, you get shut out, right?
Both
They made sure that.
Republican and Democrats work together
Yes,
collectively.
to make sure.
And I believe
And I
that the
think that
PNP and the
is
JLP are work together to shut out any third party, right, Vita?
Exactly.
Well, so just like the Gang of Five, when they found that other one and they were saying it's 2.0, it's the same thing people are saying. The UIC is PNP, is another part of PNP. So if you're gonna come as a third party, come with something different.
Yes.
Come with something different. What is it that you're bringing to Jamaica? But if you're going to come with the same message that the PNP had, or the same message that the JLP have, I don't want to hear from you. We already have two parties telling us this, so we don't want to hear from you. So that is the problem Jamaica facing now. How do we fix it? What are we going to do? No, we are outside, and we're all outside of Jamaica. We can talk all we want about what happened and what should have happened, what is happening, what Andrew is not doing, or what the other one, Mark Golden is not
You don't
doing.
know where me at. I could be in Jamaica right now.
Vita, you have no idea where I'm at.
You have no idea.
We know your yard. We know your yard.
Vita, you don't know where I'm at. I'm in Ochurious.
Anyways, we're all on the internet as what's his name. Where is he? Corey would have said.
Corey.
I think oh my God, Sylbourne. Oh God. Oh.
I'm in Ochurious. That's my hometown, ladies and gentlemen.
Mandeville look real nice.
I was for that.
Where's that?
Puerto Rico. That look like Puerto Rico.
That's Ochurious, Virgin.
Oh, that look like 10 kids.
That's Ochurious. That third Vita.
Hey,
right now.
Listen, I am working on a policy to make sure anyone coming to Ochi have to have a passport.
A passport?
If you can't enter Ochi.
You mean a passport?
You have to have passport, just like how the Maroon they're doing their.
Oh, you mean a Jamaican? You mean a passport?
Yes.
My sister is the president, and Vita is the ambassador. And let's struggle on.
Anyways, we pardon?
But that's squatter in the Ochi.
Squat. I won't even say nothing about no squatting in no trees. Yes, we're saying.
But what on the Vita? But is it Sylbourne?
Yeah.
Should I say this? We may see a case of the first dual election where we have general election and local government election at the same time on the same day. Also, we may see after Andrew's ascension into the fourth term, you realize, not to the third term, the fourth term, that we see a fixed election date after he demits office. So that is these two things are a high possibility of happening.
How many terms has Andrew gone so far?
Two.
And he said the fourth.
But let me tell you what would make a difference. Allow us to vote. Well, I can vote. I go down and vote. We need to have absent ballot box. They need to let us, the diapers. They need to let us vote, right? I don't have to buy a ticket to go to Jamaica to make sure that I can vote. Because I don't know if you all utilize your dual citizenship. I do.
Yes. I've got my two passports here.
As long as you have property, you pay taxes in Jamaica, you have a Jamaican passport, yes, you should vote.
Peter more than qualified.
Either of those.
So the next thing they need to do, because a lot of us, we are willing to vote, and you will see a bigger turnout, but as far as voting, but they're not allowing us to. Veronica says, absolutely, Ochi. Go, Ochi.
Yeah. Veronica, you know what you're talking about. Tell them you to go. Tell them to run away.
They need to let us vote. They need to let us have absent ballot so we can vote in the election, and that is a factor right now. They're not allowing it.
So I you know, we've been having this discussion, which is a good one, an excellent one, right? And it dawned on me that, you know, if I was sitting in Andrew shoes, I'd be doing the same thing, right?
What?
'Cause,
Not allowing it, or
yeah, it's you'll be doing the same thing. It's all about politics. It's all about power.
Yes.
And
so why
you
they
know,
come to the diaspora and tell
yeah,
people about
but here's the thing. Here's the other bit that I think you said, Sylbourne, which is the important part. There's not an effective opposition. That's the issue, right? If we talk about, you know, political representation, right, and you look
True.
at the the opposition, right,
She said,
what I
"Ask
see,
her."
and this is just
Veronica is
No, let
funny.
no let no let O'Neill
Veronica
speak.
is funny.
No, let O'Neill speak, and then we go to Veronica. Let's keep Veronica on ice. Let's keep Veronica on ice. Let O'Neill speak, and we can
no,
put on our hats.
no, we're, you know, this whole aspect of political representation and we the people and for the people. It's just not there, Sylbourne. Um, and I know I was going down another part, but I'm like, you know, it's all about power. And the one thing I remember, and I read, and if people have not read his book, they should read Edward Siaga book. And one of the things that was interesting with Edward Siaga is that he left his family and he went to some community and spent 6 years living in a one-bedroom board house with no running water because he wanted to see what the people feel and whether you agree with his politics or not. We don't have that anymore. We don't have that touch anymore, right? That's why even though he was the don for civil Lagarde for some years and the political representative, he got 95% of the vote. I use that word purposely because I know I was gonna get a reaction from from
The
this.
Sankey holder.
But it all boils down to, you know, what are the politicians doing for the people, right? All you're doing is playing political game. Just like here, you figure out in any constituency, I need 10 votes here, 5 votes here. And as long as I could get those votes and I could stay in power, that's what I'm gonna do.
That's it.
Right?
And
That's the
and
issue.
yeah. And then O'Neill, after you finish, you're gonna try to get into lobbying so you can keep that because Tony Blair is doing it as well. Boris Johnson, even every time they go and speak somewhere, so everybody's actually trying
He
to.
wants to be the UN general. You know, you heard what Boris want to be?
What Boris want to be? King
He
of
want
King
he
of.
wanted the head of the UN.
But I thought, yeah, but Tony Blair wanted to be the king of Europe. Boris Johnson wanted to be the king of the world, and Andrew Holness wanted to be PM for life. As Trump.
All right.
You're gonna give Lester a heart attack now.
Look here,
No,
though.
he's a,
Look here, though. I mean, they have hard feelings since week, you know, but that's the next show. O'Neill, I wholeheartedly reject everything you just said.
That's fine. You can reject it. That's okay.
More, no, but the facts are there. More people have benefited directly from politics now than ever before in Jamaica's history, right? If you take the PART program, the welfare program that we have in Jamaica, right? Way more Jamaicans now are come under the PART. But when it was instituted by PJ Patterson, blind people wasn't in it. Old people, indigenous old people wasn't in it, right? It was a select amount of persons that are in it. More persons are going away on overseas work, not just farmer, but overseas work program by the government, right? The government have in terms of funding for schools, infrastructure development, people, they're providing Wi-Fi service for communities that don't have Wi-Fi. There are so many things that people are directly, personally benefiting from politicians or from government. So for I am to sit here, right, and hear somebody make a representation like that to say it's just politics or just power. That is a part of any administration in power, anywhere at all in the world. You understand me? But we have to be fair also to what has happened, right? We have seen where some communities, like in East Portland and other places, right, where the community has transformed, where they never have a bridge for years, like 60, 70, they never have the bridge, then get bridge, then get road, then get electricity and stuff like that. These things affect people's lives. So when we're going to sit here now and say, it's just power and the people, and that more people are educated now in Jamaica than ever before, right? And that is because of government allowing infrastructure, allowing things to come in and set up. More people are working now in Jamaica than ever before. So we are not being fair. Well, you are not being fair in saying that it's just power.
So here's the thing.
And when I use the word power, I thought that you were being political.
Listen, you're probably right? But my general point, and I think you missed what I was trying to say. It's politics, right? And you could sit there and talk about people benefit. I know places in Jamaica right now where the high school has 1,000+ kids that come to school without food. They can't afford it. And the government gives $150 Jamaican for those kids, but it costs almost $400 for them to get the sustenance for them to learn, right? So yes, there are pockets of goodness in Jamaica that we're not debating that. What I'm saying is that things that are going on, it's around politics. The fact that they didn't call local government election is politics, right? They're not talking about the fact that they're not. Of course, Andrew is doing things that are impacting the people. That's not the debate here. There's a general consensus that you have 37% of the people that have voted, right? You have an issue, right? And whether it's 20% or whatever they think, we're not debating that says, you know, they have done this. What we're saying, there's still people in Jamaica. You and I and a lot of folks on this know, you know, instances where we're helping out directly because there's a lack of resources in different places. So we're not saying that there are not things that are not being done. We are saying that the things that are being done right now is not in the interest of the people. It's politics. The fact that they did not call local government, it has nothing to do with the fact that people are getting houses. It is because they have done the internal polling and realized that if they call local government election, they're going to get a drubbing.
Yes.
Right. So that's what we are debating. We're not debating to say whether, you know, the resources, but we collectively know that the government of Jamaica, in terms of economy, still have huge gaps. Right. When I was talking to a principal and I was shocked because what I said to the principal, when I went to school, I didn't realize that there were so many people who were in need because I didn't see it. Right. And I was in need myself. There are over 1,000 people out of 3,000, 4,000 population that don't have food. And as Damien Crawford said, you could teach math all you want. If I'm hungry, I learn nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what we're doing is it's the macro piece, not the micro piece.
Yeah. Well, you know what. We'll have to come back on this one, and I'm glad that we are keeping the momentum on these topics instead of just jumping from topic to topic, you know. And there's many aspects, but one thing that has come out of this show tonight, and Lester actually confirmed it, that it is not in the interest of the Labour Party for there to be a local government election.
Or any party.
So therefore, the rationale or the reason that the government is using, what should we do with that? What should we say about that? Just take it what the government is actually saying, or call it what it is?
Call it what it is.
Call it what it is.
Call it what it is and what we can talk all we want, Sylbourne.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. Well, guys, let's see if we can try to stimulate the government. And Lester, you say you have audience with the guys, tell them to do things in the interest of the people.
But Sylbourne, what can we do? What can we do for what as we come here every Saturday and we talk?
Let me
right?
tell you
what are we, the government is not doing it. It is what it is. What are we doing to make sure that we can push the people of the Jamaica to push the government? What can we do instead of talking?
Let me tell you what we can do, and that's like what we said today. And a lot of it is going to be education and inspiration, face-to-face lobbying, people to meet with their political representative in person, to go to them and tell them their views. Political protest, which was the second one which I mentioned about. That is something, of course, many people say, if a PNP did, or just PNP, if a JLP, or just JLP. But political protest don't have to be PNP or JLP. It can be people who voting against how the government is running something. But unfortunately, most times with these protests, it is hijacked in a way and they become a PNP or JLP thing. Message to politicians. There are many ways you can message to politicians now. They're all on Twitter. They're all on Facebook. They're all on YouTube. Am I correct? Most of them is all on Twitter, isn't it, Lester?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, everything. Message your politicians, right? Let them feel the presence of the people saying, yo, contacting the local media and letting the media feel the presence of the people as well. And
they're doing us.
Well, I know that, but the blog is, but the first time everybody's saying the different.
I don't have no credit. You're gonna send me some credit so I can see Twitter.
Sylbourne, in Orchard we don't play. In Orchard we don't play. We march against our own. We clean up our mess before we go. We don't play in Orchard. You know that.
In Orchard you have the tourism.
So we don't play in Orchard. We make sure you're gonna work for that money. See, we make sure we keep it that. Look how beautiful that is. If you're not working for Orchard, you gotta go. We don't play in Orchard. That's how we keep
Puerto Rico. So nice.
Puerto Rico. and going further to the last one, campaigning for candidates. That is if you have candidates or so. These are ways you can and vote. And this is Vita, this is something that needs to be done, is to encourage people to register to vote. But guess what? When you encourage them to vote, they're gonna say, who will you vote for?
We don't care, just vote. As a black woman, not only black but a woman, 2 strikes against me. There was one time I could not vote. I was not allowed to vote. Number one, I was 3/4 of a human being, and being a woman, I could not vote. So now I don't care who you vote for, just vote.
In Jamaica, you couldn't vote?
In the world, women could not vote. In the world. So now it doesn't matter where in the world. I vote in 2 countries. I'm trying to get to vote in England too. I'm going to vote anywhere I can vote. It's like this now.
A real scammer that, vote in England, vote in Jamaica. How many passports you have? Jeez and peace.
I'm sorry again, but I'm sorry again.
Well, let's go to make a disclosure. Let's say about to make a disclosure. Yes, let's.
I'm going to vote in Netherlands too. I'm sorry.
I Lester Gill know nothing of this voter fraud committed by my wife.
Hold on, we just got frozen a while ago. What did I lost something a while ago? What happened? What did I miss? I missed it. What did he say?
I Lester Gill know nothing about this voter fraud that my wife.
Okay. I just was checking. I know there was a disclosure coming up at like a fifth, plead the fifth or something like that was coming up.
No, we need to activate our citizen right. You're going to talk about it's your right to get this and it's your right to get that. And you're talking against the government and you don't even have a vote. I used to work canvassing where I used to go from house to house and sign people up to vote. I'm not voting. They're not doing anything for me. Well, we will not do anything for you if you do not register to vote. How do we educate the people?
Vida, you asked a question. I think any person who go into any community that they're from and transform that community in a way and use that as a blueprint for the rest of the country. And this is the question we asked a couple of guests that came on. I think the man.
See, I don't know what it is. We're gonna go soon because I think I'm getting a. I don't know. I don't know if we're going into some different
No, so
discussions.
the guy from USC is like, you don't need to be in representative politics to make a difference in your community. You could go
Agreed.
get investment to go fix the road, get the schools,
Yes.
right? If you could do that, you could
Mhm.
take that playbook and go say, look what I've done for my community. Because
Yes.
if you're someone that says, I want to transform Jamaica and you can't transform your community, then, as someone say, you're probably a scammer.
Well, look at Ochi and look at the surrounding that we're doing. Sylbourne, you need to visit soon. We need you.
Yes, Ochi.
Ochi
So
got annexed. Ochi got annexed. Now Ochi part of a different country.
we're working on Ochi. So I recommend that you all work on your communities. And
O'Neill,
I always,
O'Neill,
yes, sir.
O'Neill.
Yeah.
OG is not part of Haiti.
Yes.
Sylbourne, we need to talk because
I
think
just
I'm
remove.
gonna-
I just remove Lester.
Sylbourne, thank you. I'm gonna call the local government. It was a pleasure. It was nice to see you all. Hey,
Yes.
Michelle. It's nice to see you, and
Yeah.
it's nice to really let's do something. Let's meet.
Yeah.
I send you guys something from Miss Meeks here, and O'Neill. I know we spoke about reaching out to her. I will try to get a meeting with her again. I kind of dropped the ball because I had some personal stuff dealing with, but definitely I would like to see, because when you mentioned about the diaspora, saying that we with Africa. How can we start something like that for Jamaica? I'm interested to start that and meet and do something.
Okay.
Send
Well,
send everybody back to Africa. Should be good.
I want to go to Ethiopia. I would take a piece in Ethiopia. That's where I want to go. If that's the case, then I'm fine with it.
D not gonna say Tina, but D found a lady look almost like her in Africa. Look almost dead stamp of her. But
I'm sure we all can find our twins.
yeah. Anyway, guys.
But let's make a difference, guys.
Yes, definitely. We'll do that, definitely. Peace out. Yes, Lester. All right, Vita, take care of yourself. All right.
It was a pleasure.
Lester,
How do I get out of here?
oh God. Cheers. Got it? Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. And very interesting show. And thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everyone. Milverton. Sewell, I don't understand what happened there if you weren't following on the YouTube bit or so, but we couldn't keep you in the green room for so long as well. Very interesting conversation, very interesting discussion, and looking at ways how people can actually make a difference in their society. That means, say, people need to be involved in the political process, no matter what. It was 37% who came out to vote for the present government of Jamaica. 37% of the eligible voters. That means to say there was another 63% who didn't turn out. How many of them were that? How many in total were on the electoral list? And how many people in Jamaica, again, who are eligible? Let me get the card. There's eligibility to vote. You're eligible to vote. You are registered to vote again. That's a key thing. And therefore, people need to be, what should I say, inspired? Yes. Let people get inspired. But who can inspire them? Of course, definitely by someone who can inspire them to show them that there's a difference. People want to make a difference and people want to get a vote. But they're going to say, who should I vote for? Should I vote for PNP or JLP? But then the same way, is Jamaica have an effective opposition? How strong is the opposition? That's a big question. And regarding to the local government election, in discussion today, we have all agreed that it is not in the best interest of the political party to call an election when things may not be in their favor. However, is that in the best interest of the people? And we need leaders who are operating in the best interest of the people. Leaders who can actually be a martyr for the cause, whereby you're not wanting to win the next election. We want to make it better for the people. And I believe by being better for the people, by default, somehow, who knows? It may actually work better for you because people say, hang on a second, this person's heart is genuine. And how you can be effective is how to make a change in government. You can face-to-face lobbying. People can meet with their political representatives in person to discuss an issue. Political protest, and political protest doesn't mean to say it got to be JLP or PNP, conservative or Labour. It can be a protest against something or some policy of government. Because you got climate, anti-climate, climate change protests as well. They are political because they affect the political aspect of things. Message to politicians. Politicians are all on social media. All on social media. So therefore, persons can actually reach out to your MP. Remember that. Reach out to your MP and send them a message as well. Campaigning for candidates. If you believe a candidate is good, and if you believe someone is a better person, find ways how you can get them registered. And one of the things I found out being in the political process in the UK, the effective way is to become a member of a constituency, or create a constituency, or create a third party or so. And most importantly, voting. It is very important to vote. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, get engaged, get involved. Too much talking, no good. But hey, what can I say? Thank you very much. Have a good night and see you next week, Saturday night on Talk and Sip. Boom.